few men evoke the image of a tortured and misunderstood artist quite as well as Vincent van Gogh. His tale is a particularly tragic one. He died miserable and broke, only for his unsold paintings to become masterpieces mere decades after his death. In fact, Vincent's career was such a failure that we know of only one painting that he managed to sell during his lifetime. It's this one, The Red Vineyard. So why exactly was Vincent such a stunning disappointment? Well, for a start, he was what we'd call a late bloomer. He started painting seriously pretty late in his life, entering the Belgian Royal Academy at age 27. Now, this was during the height of Impressionism, a counter-movement that rejected traditional painting techniques in favor of short, broken brushstrokes that emphasized light and movement. Reminds me of my old hairstyle. So much light and movement, shimmying and shaking. Vincent, for all his acclaim, was never a particularly skilled painter. He couldn't draw in a photorealistic manner, and so he dropped out of the academy to pursue Impressionism. The hottest place to be for an Impressionist at the time was Paris. That's where the movement had begun, and it was also where its wealthiest patrons resided. Vincent, however, didn't arrive in Paris until 1886, at the very tail end of the movement. He was a latecomer to an already crowded trade, one of probably hundreds of wannabe Impressionists. Many of the original Impressionists were already famous by the time they rebelled against the establishment. Monet, the founder of Impressionism, for example, earned his credentials with near photorealistic paintings, such as this one. Amazing. Vincent, unfortunately, had no such foundation to build upon. He also didn't have any social connections. When he arrived in Paris, his only friend in the art world was his own brother, Theo. Theo had been working as an art dealer in Paris since 1884, and unlike his older brother, he was actually pretty successful in his career. It is through Theo that Vincent was acquainted with other contemporary Impressionists, though unfortunately Theo's connections didn't extend into the world of deep-pocketed patrons. Theo would end up being Vincent's main source of financing. Yet, despite Theo's line of work, the majority of Vincent's paintings would eventually be bartered away to secure painting materials or food. Complicating Vincent's financial situation was his copious consumption of alcohol and tobacco. In his latter years, he'd resort to a diet of bread and water just so he could afford his other vices. Unsurprisingly, his health deteriorated quite rapidly, as did his mental state, and in early 1889 he was admitted into a mental asylum. Interestingly enough, during his stay, Vincent produced over 100 paintings, including some of his most famous ones, with his style evolving into what is now called post-Impressionism. He left the mental asylum in May 1890, and 2 months later decided to shoot himself in the gut, as you do. Understandably, Theo was devastated and couldn't come to terms with Vincent's death for the rest of his life, which amounted to 6 months, since he caught syphilis shortly after. Oh, Theo, what have you been doing? The task of preserving Vincent's legacy fell onto Theo's widow. She donated his paintings to any museum that would take them and published the letters Theo and Vincent had written to each other. Her timing proved to be perfect. She published the letters in 1914, right around the time when American art dealers were entering the European art market. As the era of Impressionism came to a close, numerous American institutions purchased lesser-known Parisian art at bargain prices. The Detroit Institute of Arts was the first to acquire one of Vincent's paintings, and before long, Americans were writing biographies, dedicating solo exhibitions, and making movies about him. It really was a compelling story. A lonely artist pouring his soul onto the canvas, and it made a ton of money for the art dealers who bought his paintings on the cheap. Well, my friends, I hope I haven't discouraged you from pursuing a career in fine arts. It's a tough business, but the rewards for your children and grandchildren could be spectacular. As one more thing, much like Vincent himself, we're in desperate need of patrons, figuratively and literally, on Patreon. But even if you're not quite ready to jump that far for us just yet, you can still like and share this video and I'll be extremely grateful in either case. Anyhow, I look forward to exploring another completely unrelated topic with you in a couple of weeks in the next photorealistically impressionist episode of SideQuest. Now to commission a painter for my bathtub pose. Glass raised with my rubber ducky, perhaps.